The river ran high with snowmelt, dark and swollen, its surface broken by whitecaps that slapped against half-submerged cottonwood trunks. The sound of it carried far across the flats, a low, ceaseless roar like something alive and angry. On the east bank, the land rose in a long, bare slope of shale and dust, scored by wagon ruts and hoofprints hardened into the ground. That was where they chased her. She ran without looking back, skirts hitched in one hand, boots slipping on the loose stone. Her breath came in sharp, tearing gasps that burned her throat. Behind her, men shouted, voices she knew too well. Her brother's voice was there, raw and cracked with drink, and her uncle's, cold and steady. There were others too, neighbors, men who had eaten at the same table as her father once, men who had watched her grow. They shouted her name like it was a curse. "Get her! She won't make the water! Don't let her cross!" The river was the last thing she had left, she knew that. Past it lay nothing she could name, only the west bank rising into scrub and juniper and miles of open country. But behind her was worse than nothing. Behind her was a future already decided. She reached the edge and did not slow. The bank crumbled beneath her boots, shale giving way, and she slid the last few feet on her side, skinning her palm, pain flaring bright and distant all at once. The water took her with a sound like canvas ripping. Cold slammed into her chest, stole the air from her lungs, turned her scream into a strangled sound that the river swallowed whole. For a moment, she vanished. On the far bank, a man on a sorrel horse lifted his head at the sound. He had been riding low and slow along the river, hat pulled down, reins loose in his left hand, the other resting on his thigh. The horse's hooves made a soft, steady sound in the damp soil. He'd been following the river north since dawn, not for any particular reason beyond the way it gave him a line to ride and water for the horse. He heard the shouting first, faint but urgent, and then the splash, heavy, wrong, desperate. He reined up and listened. The shouting carried again, clearer now, and with it the sound of pursuit, boots on rock, the clatter of stones kicked loose. He nudged the horse forward, angling toward the bend where the river narrowed and sped up, its banks steep on either side. He did not hurry. He had learned long ago that haste made mistakes, and mistakes had a way of staying with you. The woman came out of the water downstream, spun sideways by the current, hair loose and black against the froth. She clawed at the surface, gasping, her face pale and sharp with terror. The river dragged her under once more and rolled her hard against a submerged log. When she surfaced again, she screamed, and this time the sound carried. The cowboy swung down from the saddle and ran. The water took him at the knees and then the waist, cold like iron. He went in crooked, fighting the pull, boots filling, coat dragging at him. He caught her by the arm as the current tried to take her again, his fingers locking hard around bone. She struck at him once, wild and blind, nails raking his cheek. He did not let go. "Easy," he said, though the river tore the word apart. "Easy now." He dragged her sideways, inch by inch, using the log as a brake against the flow. The water hammered at them, tugged and pulled, tried to pry them loose from the earth. His legs shook with the effort, muscles screaming. At last his foot found solid ground, then another. He hauled her up onto the bank and fell with her, both of them gasping, water pouring from their clothes. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then she rolled away from him, scrambling backward on hands and knees, eyes wide and shining with fear. She tried to stand and failed, slipping in the mud. She looked past him, across the river. They stood on the east bank now, a knot of men at the edge of the slope, 5 of them, 6. They stared across the water, chests heaving, faces red and furious. One of them pointed. "There she is." The cowboy stood slowly. He was tall without seeming so, lean as a fence post, his coat darkened by water and river silt. He did not reach for his gun. He did not raise his voice. "She's crossed. That's enough." A man stepped forward, broad-shouldered, his hat shoved back on his head. "That ain't your concern." The cowboy looked at him for a long moment. He took in the set of the man's jaw, the way his hand hovered near his belt, not quite touching the pistol there.
He saw the others too, the tight mouths, the eyes that would not quite meet his. "She came through the river," the cowboy said. "That makes it my concern." Another man laughed, sharp and ugly. "You think a stretch of water changes anything? She belongs to us." The woman behind him made a small sound, not quite a sob. The cowboy felt it more than heard it, the way fear has weight. "She don't look like she belongs to anyone," the cowboy said. The broad-shouldered man spat into the river. "You don't know a damn thing about it." "I know enough," the cowboy said. Silence stretched. The river roared between them, loud and constant, a living barrier. At last, the man with the broad shoulders turned away. "This ain't over. You bring her back, or we'll come for her." The cowboy watched them go, their figures retreating up the slope, dust rising around their boots. He did not move until they were gone from sight. When he turned back, the woman was sitting with her knees drawn up, arms wrapped tight around herself. She was shivering hard, teeth chattering, hair plastered to her face. Her dress was torn at the hem, mud-streaked and soaked through. "They won't stop," she said. Her voice was hoarse, like she had been screaming for hours. "They'll come back with guns." He shrugged out of his coat and held it out to her. She hesitated, then took it with trembling hands and pulled it around her shoulders. It swallowed her, heavy and smelling of leather and river water and horse. "What's your name?" he asked. She looked at him then, really looked, as if measuring the shape of his face, the steadiness of his eyes. "Clara," she said. "I'm Eli Mercer." They sat there while the sun climbed higher, the cold easing slowly from their bones. Eli wrung out his shirt and pulled it back on, ignoring the chill. He did not ask her why they had chased her. He had learned that some truths came easier when given room. At last she spoke. "They sold me," she said. The words lay between them, simple and heavy as stones. "My uncle," she went on, "after my father died, said it was debts, said it was lawful." Eli nodded once. "Where?" he asked. She lifted her chin toward the south. "Red Willow." Eli knew the place, a town built around a rail spur and a cattle market, its streets wide and dusty, its saloons busy and loud, a place where money talked and law listened. He stood and offered her a hand. "We can't stay here." She took his hand. Her grip was tight. They mounted the horse together, Clara clinging to him as he turned the sorrel west, away from the river. Behind them, the river kept on roaring, indifferent as ever.